Hello and welcome back to another episode of Leading Legal, and we're joined by the lovely Animal.
Yep, that's right. It's
Awesome.
yeah, yeah. This is actually it's funny. It's like one of my first co-host experiences.
That's so cool. Yeah. So, what's the name of your show?
Well, I don't really have a show. Okay, I full disclosure, I work at Anchor.
Oh, yeah.
um, I actually do marketing at Anchor, so I should have been experimenting more with this feature, but um, yeah, I'm very shy, honestly, when it comes to podcasting. So I'm trying to get out of my shell a little bit. How
No,
about
I,
you? What's your
yeah.
show about?
Yeah. So, Leading Legal is all about social media marketing and how to grow your social media, specific to lawyers and attorneys that, that are trying to grow their media. So I have the cool thing, and it's kind of an experiment. So it's kind of cool to get you on the show, um, because you work for Anchor, and this is an Anchor podcast platform. I actually have another podcast where I actually do all the background work, like record it and edit it and upload it to Libsyn and the whole deal.
Cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
but it's so much work, and Anchor is so easy.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah. So what can you tell us about, so today's Throwback Thursday, and I just discussed on today's episode um about how Yellow Pages kind of turned into, it's kind of gone. They still have YP.com and stuff, but it's back in the day when I first started doing business, like in high school, I had a carpet cleaning business. You
Oh,
had
cool.
Yeah, you had to use Yellow Pages, or you just weren't gonna get any work, or maybe in the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And now the landscape is totally different, but the comparison would be Google Plus or Google Business Pages, I guess.
Mm.
Does that sound right for you, or is there something I'm not, you know?
So you're talking about like in order to just like get on people's radar, and if somebody needs a carpet cleaner, they'll like, where do they go first?
Right.
I mean, yeah, I would say Google. I mean, Google as in like SEO, right? So like when people, the first thing people do is they go to a search bar, I would say, like they'll type in like carpet cleaner, or for instance with Anchor, they'll be like, how do I make a podcast? Right?
Yeah.
So like I think a lot of times what we're trying to figure out, since there's no like exact science to it, but it's trying to figure out what words people think of first when they're trying to figure out what they want to do, or so we're trying to, because I think internally with Anchor, we've been saying like, oh, make a podcast or create a podcast, but as we listen in on conversations on Twitter, or like conversations that we hear on Anchor, everybody says start a podcast. So that's one of the things that definitely has shifted in the last couple of months. We're like, oh, maybe we should start like using the term start a podcast more, and it'll surface better on Google. But yeah,
Interesting.
I mean, I don't have any experience with Yellow Pages. I've never put an ad in Yellow Pages, but it's really interesting to hear you talk about how that was, how difficult it was before, really. And I was thinking about, yeah, like in the past, putting a print ad out, you have no idea how many people are seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just so easy to get like insights from Facebook or Instagram or any of these social channels. It's just right in front of you. You can see exactly how many people saw it, exactly how many people clicked on it.
Exactly. That's awesome. That's awesome feedback. The thing with Yellow Pages was like the only control you had was you could set up a dedicated phone line that was only for that ad.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
and you could do that now too, of course, but that was the only way you were able to see, am I really getting any work from this ad? You'd have a whole different phone number and set up. But yeah, nowadays it's totally different ball game. I've been teaching a lot about the different social medias and how they work in together. What kind of insight can you give? Because I feel like we got to use this opportunity here with this Anchor marketing for what is one tip that someone from the legal industry, how can they use Anchor, how can they use social media to be able to grow their audience?
Well, there are all different kinds of ways to be a marketer, but my experience in particular is centered around brand marketing. So I would say that in this day and age, people are super savvy about brands and about creative marketing. And so I think the way to stand out is to make sure that you're putting some, energy into your brand, whatever it may be. So if it's a legal business, then maybe it's making sure that like your logo looks great and like you have awesome copy in your like website. There's a lot of different things you can do to basically spruce up your look and feel, and making sure that you look the way that you sound, and like everything is consistent, and that when people actually do come to your site or your social pages, they understand who you are. So I think that for me has been like, in all of the jobs that I've ever worked at, has been a big focus of mine, is trying to make that personality come through in the brand. And I think it makes sense for every business.
That's perfect. That's what I would expect nothing less from an animal.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Like I love puns, and puns are like one of my favorite things in the world. And so why not turn my personal brand into a pun as well? Like I love animals, and my name is Anna. So obviously, people straight off the bat, like will understand what I'm going for. And so that's another thing, is that like you have to be quick. Like, so branding and marketing, everything has to be like very quick and easy to understand, because people don't have the attention span that they used to, right? If you're talking about Throwback Thursday, in the past, you'd have much more time to get your message across, and now it's really only a couple of seconds. So how do you do that with visuals, and in our case with audio, right? Like how do you get the point across in just a couple seconds?
Yes, that is awesome. Yeah. So one of the things that people are constantly debating is how short to make your podcast, how short to make your your video message. I'm constantly making different videos, and I'm thinking, yeah, maybe I should have made that shorter. So I'll remake it, only 2 or 3 minutes, and it's interesting. We're getting to a point. It's terrible when a fly has a better attention span than we do.
Yeah, I know.
So, well, that's awesome, Am. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Did you have any other questions or any other parting piece of advice you want to give?
Yeah. How are you liking the app? How do you use Anchor in your marketing?
Yeah, so this really cool thing that I just learned, and it's kind of like a little secret ninja tip, or at least I feel like it is. I managed to find. So I'm recording this on my cell phone for people that don't know, and I'm editing this. I'm not having to edit it. But you can't really make any mistakes. That's the bad thing. And then I publish it, and then I take the RSS feed and I plug it into an app called Repurpose.
Okay.
And Repurpose turns it into a video. And then I have Zapier auto posting from Repurpose to YouTube to Facebook. And so these Anchor apps are ending up on my Facebook page without me having to do anything. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You have like a whole system down.
Yeah. And that's the idea, is automation is another thing that a lot of people, once they get a little bit of it, they're like, wow, that just saved me 2 hours. I'm on board.
Yeah, no, it's funny that you say that, because that's something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, like how to be creative on social media, right? And this is probably pretty relevant to your podcast, but I've been finding that it's hard to be super creative when you're, especially when you're at work. It's hard to be creative all the time and like on call. And so part of what really helps is to automate that process, like to schedule things in advance so that that on any given day, you already have a couple things scheduled that, it'll free you up to have more creative space in your brain, and to think about like, timely content, culturally relevant content that, on a day-to-day basis.
It's so true. We tend to flow with the, with whatever's in front of us, whatever comes. That's why it's terrible to start your day with the emails, right? Because you're just going down, taking care of what other people want type of thing. And then, but yeah, no, that's good. And then just creating a space that you can be comfortable and let your brain kind of flow. Actually, this morning, a little alarm went off and said, podcast, Anchor podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
that's awesome.
I started in on my emails and creating my videos, and I was like, and then a little alarm went off, and I was like, oh yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it was cool to meet you, and hopefully you come on here again. I'm always posting it as marketing, so if you ever see it again, might be me, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, likewise. It's really great talking to you.
All right. Well, you guys can check out the other podcast episodes at leading.legal and check out Anchor, and maybe you can get Animal on your podcast as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thanks, Anna. You take care.
All right. Bye.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.